Alright, good night. It is 8:16 on September 17th while I'm recording this. Um, this is the Snowflake Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dan, and I'm here to talk about, recap the NFL. So I'm going to start with the Thursday night Bucs Panthers game. Then I'm going to dive into the Bills Giants game and just kind of go through the mayhem that exists in the other games. So, like the Bears Broncos game was pretty wild, Chargers. Lions is kind of crazy. I can't believe the Lions pulled that one out. Then just sprinkle in some other kind of details. Then talk about the Falcons Eagles game as well. So yeah, just gonna go. Oh, and actually, I'll probably start off with. I'll just start off now, but the Ben Roethlisberger is out for the season. That was news, I believe, yesterday. And I forget what exactly it was that he got sidelined for, but he's completely out. So now Mason Rudolph's going to play. He was selected, I think, in the third round of the 2017 draft. From third round from Oklahoma State, 2018. Okay. And Ben Roethlisberger kind of got a little mad about it. Why did they draft this guy? Why are they trying to replace me already? And now it looks like he's got to step in and do it. And they're already 0-2 with Ben. And Mason Rudolph actually seemed pretty good. I mean, at least like stat-wise. Didn't look up exactly what he had, but I think he did better than when actually Ben was in the game. And let's see. Yeah, 12 and 19, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And I think the pick wasn't even his fault. Like Dante Moncrief like couldn't catch a ball straight at him and it just like floated in the air. So I don't know. I think you might want to believe them when they play San Francisco next week. So San Francisco, I mean, they're 2-0. Their offense looks really good. Even though they torched the Bengals and I forget who they played week 1, but it wasn't good. It's like the Bills where they didn't play two good teams, and they're just like, oh, we're 2-0, woo! But it'll be interesting. Also, me personally, just not a big Ben Roethlisberger fan since he raped that girl, and pretty much just was able to keep going about it. And he's like a huge Trump fan, just like all this, like against Kaepernick and the whole, like kneeling for the anthem and just trying to do good for people of color communities that are affected by that. So fuck you, Ben. Good, you're out for the season. And then also, I guess a little more somber, and at least for me, is Drew Brees was hurt with his thumb injury. And I think he's out 4 to 6 weeks or so. And, I mean, that's why they traded for Teddy Bridgewater, because he's a pretty capable backup. Like, when you actually know who the backup is, it's a pretty good thing. And as long as it's not like Trevor Siemian or something, like, well known for being that bad. Like, Teddy Bridgewater is just one of those guys who probably shouldn't start in the NFL, but would be a very reliable backup. He didn't look too great against the Rams, but I mean the Rams have Sam Darnold, and the reason Drew Brees was hurt because Sam Darnold like hit his thumb or hit his throwing arm with his hand, and just that massive strength that just kind of pummeled it. But yeah, so they lost that game, so they're 1-1 after that crazy game against the Texans in week 1. So the NFC South, and then going into the Thursday night game, the NFC South's kind of just up in the air, I guess. Maybe it could still be the Saints. Somehow, the Buccaneers beat the Panthers 20-14. Winston was pretty solid. Like, he makes no mistakes, and that's pretty much just a good game for Winston. Peyton Barber got a touchdown on the ground. Jameis Winston, he was 16-25, 280 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. So that's like 64% for completion percentage, like 208 yards, not great, but hey, I mean, it's better than throwing 2 pick sixes in a game. And then this game, Cam Newton just looks hurt. He's lofting the ball too high. He's just missing kind of throws. And I think either today, Tuesday, or Monday, he actually was not at practice or something. And I just looked up with a backup. I think Will Allen or something. I've never heard of this person. And I guess they also drafted Will Greer this draft, I believe. So I mean, yeah, this draft like 3rd round or so. Kyle Allen. Okay, no idea who that is. But yeah, he didn't look good. I guess their defense looked okay. You would think they'd be able to stop like James Winston more and generate more turnovers or something. I mean, Luke Kuechly looked good. And, I mean, they did still hold them to 20 points. You just, like, if you're the Panthers, you gotta score. You gotta win. First off, you just got to win this game. You have to beat the Bucs are the worst team in this division, or should be. So you gotta beat them. And now it just looks like Cam's hurt and might not even play next week, which is a good idea. Like, he should not play. He is clearly still injured and needs to recover and actually have time. Like, he had off-season injury or off-season surgery to, I believe, his shoulder or whatever was hurt last year. Yeah, so his stats, it was 25-51, so under 50%, and 33 yards with no touchdowns and no picks. And oh yeah, because they got a safety, because it was 2014. I totally forgot about this. And they didn't score any offensive touchdowns. They just got a bunch of field goals. Unless they missed a PAT. No, I don't see a TV. Interesting. Yeah, so yeah, now the Bucs are 1-1. The Falcons, which I'll dive deeper into later, they're 1-1. Saints are 1-1, but they're without Drew Brees. So like, you think the I mean, I was never a big fan of Matt Ryan, especially when he was drafted. I didn't get the hype, and he's proved me completely wrong the entire way. And that 2016 season where he got the MVP was remarkable, and I'm for this team. And it's really not with this team too. It's never their offense; it's really their defense, and it keeps them in games. But I really think they just have the upper hand here now because they've got Julio Jones, you got Sanu, you got Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is ridiculous these past like 2 games. Or at least the Eagles game. Like, he's been killing it. And now the Saints don't have Drew Brees, so like, I mean, you have to bring them back, but like, they play. I know Drew Brees plays so much better at the Dome than everyone else, but I assume that Bridgewater might as well. But yeah, and then so going into the Bills-Giants game. Not too interesting if you're not a fan of either of these teams. Fun stat though. So I forget, or So Josh Allen had 253 yards, and so dating back to last year, he had 7 consecutive games with more than 200 yards. And I stole this off the Ringer NFL show today from Kevin Clark. But Josh Allen is the last Buffalo Bill to have more than 200 yards passing in 7 consecutive games was Jim Kelly in like 96 or whenever he like retired or something. It is so crazy just with how, I mean, it makes sense, which is how inept Buffalo Bills quarterbacks have been over forever. and just how many times Tyrod Taylor, won a game with 180 yards or something um, or like the Trent Edwards, the J.B. Lossmans, the Kyle Orton for a bit. I'm forgetting those like late O quarterbacks, but and I mean Fitzpatrick, which seemed kind of weird because but like Fitzpatrick has this like 4 game stretches, so just being consistent for 7 games, I guess that makes sense. But 200 yards, that's so low. Like you should automatically get 200 yards if you're a quarterback. So remarkable. Anyways, Bills are 2-0. That's great. Giants are 0-2. That's not great if you're a Giants fan. Good thing for Josh Allen, didn't throw a pick. I don't think he fumbled. And he was 19 of 30. So that's rough. I think that's 65, maybe 64.5 or something. So good for him. It seems like he's like props to Dable, props to Josh Allen too, just for kind of working this out. But the short game is really on for him, and like I said this last week, but when they used John Brown and Cole Beasley looked a lot better, partially because the Giants secondary. I think they're the worst in the NFL. Everyone keeps talking about the Cardinals, and I don't watch the Cardinals, even though Colin really is probably fun to watch. But like this secondary is so bad. So Cole Beasley, there's one player, Cole Beasley lines up on the touchline, and he's like 5'8" or something. He should never be that wide, really. And they just like forget to guard him, and he just like runs down the field 12 yards. Josh Allen finds him, and then he runs like another like 15, like a gain of, well, that would be like 27, but like 30 yards or something. I was like, what? How do you miss this little guy? Like, unless he was just like too short. Oh, that's just that Hamilton guy and that Baker. I know Baker's like a rookie, and he should pan out better. And it's just whole defense is just an absolute mess. But going back to the Bills, so yeah, Josh Allen looked good. Devin Singletary looked amazing again. Frank Gore was much better this game. Yeah, like I said, Cole Beasley, John Brown was reliable. Really looked in control because they were up 21-7. So this game was similar to the Giants-Cowboys game last week, where the Giants scored first, and then it's like, oh look, the Giants would like take on pocket. They had a touchdown, looked good, and it's like, oh look, the Giants might like stay in this game, and then like Bills scored, Giants 3-0, Bills scored, Giants 3-0, Bills scored. Maybe not exactly 3-0, but they like had to punt or turnover or something. And then at the end of the first half, they get a great punt return. Like they get it to like the 30 or something with like a minute left, and then Eli, which he kind of did this a lot up until this point, where he was just getting like the Bills' defensive line was just swatting down his throws, which great for the defensive line, but like Eli gotta, I don't know, notice that a little more. Like at some point, it stops being unlucky and it just becomes your problem. And so it hits, I forget who it hits off of, and then like it hits someone's helmet, pops up, and then like Jerry Hughes comes over and gets it. Who had that pick? Oh, Trent Murphy. Okay. Yeah. And it was just like, I was like, ooh, like, because if they went down and scored, and then they scored in the fourth, which made it 21-14. If that was 21-21, like, ugh, that would have been rough. But it was not, alas, and the Bills pulled that one out. So they're 2-0 against the New Jersey teams. And funny little tidbit, the Josh Allen in a post conference, some reporter asked him just like, oh, how is it like to, playing in New York and stuff? And he was just like, I do play in New York, which is the best answer you could have if you're a Buffalo Bill. And then she asked like a follow-up question, and he's just like, I'm the only, like he did that thing where he's like, I'm the only team in New York, which he totally is. They play in New Jersey, so both those teams. So yeah, and then news for the Giants though. Uh, what's his or Daniel Jones? The Daniel Jones era is beginning, and they play the Bucs, which I forgot to mention in that Bucs game. That Barrett dude had like 3 sacks, and um, I wasn't too into that game because I was like, put it on at first, and I didn't really want to watch the Democratic debate, and then that had like a rain delay. Then I put that on, and then um, then I switched back once. I think in the middle of like the third, and this Barber or not Barber because Barber's the running back, Payne Barber. Sorry about that. Let's see. Oh no, Shaquille Barrett. He had 3 sacks. He had 2 in a row where he was just faster and just ran around whoever that left guard was. Left tackle, sorry. And then the other one, he like pretty much just bull rushed him, just plowed through him and got to Cam. And these weren't like Cam wasn't holding the ball that long. Like these were pretty amazing sacks. I was like, ooh, okay. Barrett, Jesus Christ. And yeah, so they kind of look good. And Bucs' problems have always been their defense. So this kind of makes sense for the Giants to start Daniel Jones against the Bucs. But if Barrett plays like that again against the Giants line, that is kind of suspect. Like that could be a great time. But like you think, like this season's pretty much over. The problem really isn't the quarterback at this point, even though Eli had 2 picks this game. He only threw 250 yards, 26 of 45, so not a very high completion percentage. Math, it's probably like 55%. So not really great, I would say. But really the problem is their secondary. And I don't think they got any sacks this game. I don't know, they got a couple. Oh, they got like 3. Never mind then. I don't think they got any sacks against the Cowboys, which makes sense because that O-line is amazing. But yeah, I'm feeling high on the Bills. I know I was higher on the Jets than I was the Giants, so I felt like that win, they just pulled that out of their ass. Also, forgot to mention in week 1, I can't believe I didn't mention this. Like CJ Mosley went down in the 4th quarter, and that's the only reason why they come back from that game, because he was all over the field. He, like Devin Singletary was doing nothing, and then once Mosley like got hurt, that's when he had those like great 15-yard gains or something. I don't even remember how many tackles he had, but yeah, Mosley getting hurt helped them win, which really, because like next week they play the Bengals, that should be a win. Like, I don't know if AJ Green's coming back. He might come back, but like they just got pummeled by the 49ers. And granted, the 49ers look good. They run some weird, exotic offenses. They're like a lot of misdirections, and they just did a really good job. And Kyle Shanahan's offense actually looks coming into fruition as of right now. I think that's the right way to use that word. English is hard. I can't see if he's good to go for week 3. So they should beat the Bengals. They'll get killed by the Pats. And then they'll probably lose the Titans. It's the bye week. Then they play the Dolphins. And then the Eagles, which probably lost. But so they can go 4-2. Like, it's not bad. And looking down the road, like they could beat the Redskins. They could beat the Dolphins again. So that's 6. Say they beat the Broncos, lose the Cowboys, lose the Ravens, beat the Steelers, 8. Okay. This is more looking like 9. I'd say 9 wins. So they played the Bills Pats the second to last week. I think if it comes to it, like if the Patriots are 14-0, I think they're gonna close it out. Maybe they don't. Maybe they play Brady like a quarter, but they'll make sure they win that game. And then they finish with the Jets at home. So I'm thinking like 9, maybe 9. Like I really think that Jets team is actually good, even though they just got killed by the Browns. But like they didn't have Darnold. Simeon gets hurt, even though Simeon didn't look great. And was that Kevin Falk came in or something? I don't really know how long. So Darnold has mono, if you didn't hear or was paying attention at all. I don't know how long mono is. I guess like if he did play, he would have like ruptured his spleen or something. So yeah, go Jets. Jets. Suck. So I don't know. I'm pretty high on the Bills now. I think I was wrong with the 6 wins. I think a lot of it has to do with their schedule, and they really just got that lucky Jets win. So and then just the Dolphins being complete trash. Because I thought they would. I don't know why, but I thought the Dolphins they would split too, just because they wouldn't be like this bad, but they're so bad. Okay, yeah, just and then going around the NFL. So that I'm gonna start with the Chargers Lions. This game was truly wild, cause the Chargers really should have won it like in multiple ways, and somehow Matt Stafford and his stupid face, like marched on the field, gets a touchdown in the 4th quarter, blah blah blah. But there was one drive, I forget what quarter it was. I think the Chargers were up like 10-3, maybe 10-6, and so he throws, I think, a pass to Eckler, or I forget who. It was probably Eckler. And Eckler like dodged a bunch of people, breaks through some tackles, and he scores a touchdown. And then there's like, unfortunately, there's a hold. So it was like a 60-yard game, but the hold brought it back to like the 30 or something. So it's like, okay, and like maybe they could score again. So then I don't know if they run the same player, but like I think Eckler gets it again and scores another touchdown. But then it's illegal block in the back. And then like they get a throw to Keenan Allen. They eventually get to the 1. Like Austin Eckler fumbles the ball at the 1, and the Lions recover. They had multiple. So they had a 39-yard field goal miss and a 41-yard field goal miss. And at the end, so like the Chargers were driving, and like then Philip Rivers throws a pick in like the last minute or so, but you can't really blame him for going for the end zone, because they were at like the 25, maybe the 30. So right, like let's do another mid-range field goal to potentially tie, and this kicker has been bad. So why would you want to do that? So it's understandable to just like gun in there. And yeah, somehow the Lions are 1-0-1, even though that tie is pretty much a loss in like a playoff meaningful way. And all the other NFC North teams just look better. Like I had Fritz on devout Packers fan, and that Packers defense looks amazing. Like seriously. But going back to this game, Chargers just lose in the most Chargers way awful. Like sometimes it's bad to be a Bills fan, but then when you look at what the Chargers do and just not utilizing Philip Rivers to, win a Super Bowl, or like, I don't know, just like playing one is just remarkable. Like you just have so much bad luck with kickers, with fumbling at the 1, or just Chargers being the Chargers. So which one should I go into? I'll start with the Texans rate Jaguars, because that was a little crazy. So it was a pretty tight game, pretty low scoring, and then I believe the Texans take the lead first in the 4th. So they're up 13-6, I think. Yes, 13-6. Um, and the Garden Minshew, the Uncle Rico man of the hour, marches down the field for a 2-minute drive, and they score a touchdown. And he does pretty much all the work. Like, so Fournette, I think, ran the ball 3 times, and he gained like 4 yards, a yard, and like a half yard or something. Just completely irrelevant. And it might not even been a 2-minute drill, but they scored within the last like minute. So it was all Garden Minshew. So and then they decided to go for it, which like props to you, Doug Marrone. Like, be risky. So typically in my life I like to live more conservatively and take as least risks as possible. But in football, I think you need to take more risks. Like, especially when you have stats backing it up too, where you score more than 50% of the time on 2-point conversions. Like, you should just go for it more, and like the math will equal out where you'll just be up more. So they do go however too, but then they just run the ball with Fournette, which was like, ugh. And it almost worked, honestly. Like, not a great play call, and Fournette just gets stopped by this like little linebacker. I forget who it was, but like Fournette's a big dude, and this linebacker was like, it seemed like he was like 2 for 10 or something. And so they don't get it, and then they lose the game. So Texans get pretty lucky. I don't know if their defense holds them. Deshaun Watson comes back at the bottom. Not the bottom. Comes back from the game. Sorry, my English is bad. And yeah. And then, so the other game I want to talk about was the what was it? The Bears-Broncos game, which was a boring game to start, and then just got very incredibly interesting. And it really was down to like the last play. So I don't know if they snapped the ball 5 seconds or anyway, so the Broncos take the lead, I think, on a touchdown. They go for 2, then they're up by 1, or maybe they kicked I don't know. Anyway, so they're winning 14-13. So I think the Bears get a touchback anyways. So Mitch Trubisky, I think, throws an incomplete pass. I'm just assuming at this point because he's literally the new Blake Bortles of 2019. And he gets hit on like a roughing the passer penalty that doesn't seem that terrible. So it's just like, all right, refs, you have it in for the Broncos. So they move them up 15 yards, and then so like he has 5 seconds, like the last play or the second to last one, and he kind of takes his time, and then he throws it in the middle of the field, and the wide receiver goes down and like gets contacted, and the clock runs 0, like immediately, and then like the referees like because I guess Mitch is calling a timeout like as he's falling to the ground, and like the rule was he gave himself up, so that like counted as it, and the referees noticed that he called timeout with all in like less than a second, which in my opinion was complete bullshit. They should just let the clock run out. Like, that's just your fault. You like ran it too close, and they in that like 0.5 seconds the referees didn't declare that he gave him up, look and saw Mitch, and then called the timeout and like blew the whistle to call timeout. Like, that's just not possible. And the referees this entire week, a lot of people have been I guess just shitting on them, just because they haven't this new like pass interference, like throwing a challenge for pass interference. It's just it's led to 2. It's like more gray now. It's kind of like the catch rule, how it was when they tried to make it more specific. So just like some looked like pass interference in review, and then like wasn't called it, under the review, and then like vice versa, where it was called pass interference, and it looked like it wasn't, but the rule stand or like something were overturned. I don't know. There's like 6 of them that were kind of iffy. Like the Vikings had that one touchdown callback that was just like, eh. Um, and then, oh yeah, and then I kind of wanted to talk about the Monday night, or not Monday. Well, no, I'm not gonna talk about the Monday night game because Browns just wrecked the Jets, the third string quarterback. And I guess from that game, Le'Veon Bell looked pretty good again. Like he was just breaking tackles. Myles Garrett looked amazing. I think he had 4 sacks. Let's go with 4. I'll look that up to confirm. But and like credit the Jets defense because they kept the Browns pretty much in check, even if the score doesn't say so. Like Baker looked a little frazzled and was like releasing too quick, and I mean Odell looked awesome. Obviously Odell was like the player of the game. He had that one-handed grab near the end zone. They had that one touchdown where I think he ran like a crossing route and then just outran every single player. He's so fast. Just when he gets going, it's just incredible. So yeah, enough of that game because that was kind of, yeah. The Eagles-Falcons game, Sunday night game, very interesting. Carson Wentz, like stat line didn't look good, but when you like think of it, like Deshaun Jackson was out, and then I can't think of their other pretty much main wide receiver was out. So it's basically Nelson Aguilar and Zach Ertz and no one else. So, but when you look at Wentz's stat line, he had 231 yards, 1 TD, 2 picks. He was 25-43, so not a high percentage-wise either. But I don't know. I felt like he stuck with it. There was a point where he was hurt, or I don't know what happened. And Josh McCown came in, and he was driving them, and then Carson Wentz came in, and I think they finished off with a touchdown on that drive. But Matt Ryan didn't really look well either. This was like a very high interception game. Matt Ryan threw 3 picks, though he threw 3 touchdowns and threw for 320 yards. So I don't know if that's a better. It looks like a better stat line when you throw more, but he threw an extra pick. He threw an extra 2 TDs. I don't really know. That's more judgment call. But so the Falcons are losing, and it's like 4th and 3. I think they're at like their 50 or somewhere around midfield, and Eagles pretty much in Doug Peterson, very risky. Let's just go for it way. They bring like 8, or just like an all-out blitz to Matt Ryan. They smartly call like a wide receiver screen. So I think it's there's only 2 people out there because it was the corner that was guarding Sanu and the corner that was drawing Jones, and basically like Sanu blocks his guy. They throw a screen to Jones, and Jones just like, I think he jukes him, and then just sprints to the end zone, and they win the game. And pretty much, I don't know exactly save their season, because like even if they started 0-2, people were saying that they didn't look good this game. I thought they looked pretty decent. Outside of those picks that Matt Ryan threw, I think they're like, but it's just because they didn't have Deshaun Jackson, and then I gotta look up who that other Eagle was that was hurt. But I mean, I guess you gotta take it with the asterisks, right? With how good this Falcons defense looked. But that Allen, was it Geronimo? No. Crap, I can't look up 2 things. Anyway, so Ricardo Allen. Chris Collinsworth actually had a good point where, like he tells, I think, one of the linebackers, maybe a corner, was like, hey, if he goes inside, I got him. And I forget who the wide receiver was, but like Wentz throws it to him. It's a pretty good pass, and Allen just lays him out, and he drops the ball. Not a big chance of catching that. Just because of the hit. Like, it was a good throw. It was just the hit just wrecked him. Alshon Jeffrey. Oh my God, how did I forget that? He was also hurt. So you basically had your third wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar, and then Zach Ertz, and then everyone else was just like backups. So I don't know, but good win for the Falcons, and I like them. I don't know, because the Saints are still complete. Like, the Saints still have Alvin Kamara, they still have Cam Jordan, they still have Michael Thomas. Like, let's see, Teddy Bridgewater play more than like a good Rams defense, or just a generally like a really good Rams team. So probably, I guess, lean more to the Saints. I still like this Falcons team though. I think Calvin Ridley's amazing and will pretty much just replace Jones when he's gone as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You still have Jones, you have Sanu, you have, I think, Devontae Freedom is your running back. Though Ito Smith he only had 4 carries, but he had 32 yards, and Devonta had 11 carries for 22 yards. So, wow, that's not much of a running game. I guess not a lot of attempts though, because they only attempted 17 versus 43 throws. I don't think the Eagles really ran a lot either. Yeah. And then 21 to 48. Ooh, a lot of passing. I like it. Keeps it more entertaining. All right. I think this pretty much wraps up this week's episode. Thank you for listening. I should have Chris Amano back on. Just to. Oh, I didn't talk about Antonio Brown. Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. He'll talk about Antonio Brown, the whole Raiders stuff, and all his allegations with the new. I guess not the new, the person that he probably sexually assaulted. Most likely, in my opinion. And we'll talk about the Bills. So I'm assuming the Bills win that game. It's going to be one of those games where, can they beat the Pats? Is it possible? And then we'll just recap kind of week 3. So, but thank you for listening, and have a great night.